Our expectations different for the Dogs coming into 2024. Ryan Curley's going to start us off. Ryan, what you got?
No, no, because the expectations are now championships, and that's not going to change with Kirby Smart at the helm, with the way that the team's broken down, with Carson Beck returning, with all the talent we know they're going to have. It's going to be the exact same expectation, even if the college football world's changing, even if there's a 12-team playoff. Uh, Georgia has championship expectations from now on.
Yeah, I think it's all about playing to the standard, right? The expectation is to play to an elite level and play to that Georgia Bulldog standard: toughness, physicality, connection, discipline. And I do think Ryan's right where, Georgia's only one of two programs, in my opinion, where it's championship or bust, and that's Georgia and Alabama. But I also wonder how many years away from a national championship can you have that mentality? But right now, Georgia's one back two, and they're still the reigning champion. So, of course, it's that or nothing, right? But I don't think they're going to go several years without another one. But if they do, I do think the expectations will have to change a little bit. But right now, yeah, I think it is championship or bust. It's unfortunate. It's not really fair, but that's the standard that they've set for the program. And when you go 13-1 and you miss the playoffs, other programs will kill to be 13-1 and be in Georgia's position. But if you're Georgia, it's a disappointing season, Dean.
Yeah, Matt. Here's my question. Immediately when you said that, I thought about Ohio State, and I thought about Clemson because I think with Clemson, I think they won 9 games this year. Were they 9-4? Is that's not what it is at Clemson, but it is
No.
I think it is at Ohio State though. I have to say. Now, are they delusional for being 10 years away, Matt, from winning a national championship and being championship or bust? Because right now, I mean, Ryan Day. I mean, until that guy wins the national championship, people are just going to kill him.
Yeah, they can't have those expectations. They got to beat Michigan first. They've got a 3-game losing streak now to their biggest rival, who has taken that spot as the team in that conference competing for championship. So if you're Ohio State, I think you have with just a conference title, even if you don't win a national title, they should be proud of that. And they might not feel that way, but if you're Ohio State, I guess every year is a disappointment going back to 9 years ago when they won the thing. So every year can be a disappointment if you're thinking, oh, it's championship or bust, Ryan, when you haven't won one in 10 years. So I think still Georgia and Alabama are the only two teams who should feel slighted and feel like the season wasn't, up to their standards if they don't win a championship.
Yeah, now Ohio State's got to worry about Michigan possibly, beating Washington and winning a championship of its own. That would definitely add even more pressure to the Buckeyes. I think the championship or bust is, as much as I agree that it is championship or bust, that phrase is almost a little unfair. I mean, you were in the locker room too after the game, Matt. Like, those guys are pumped. They're excited. That was a big day for Georgia. I mean, 63-3 in the Orange Bowl. I don't know if that's a bust on your season. It's just not what the expectation is there, which is what this video is about. But competing for a national championship, I think, is the real expectation. You got to at least be able to compete. Is this a team that has a chance to win it? I think that's really where the expectation lies. I mean, it is Georgia, Bama, Michigan's starting to enter that. This 3 years in a row in the being in the Final Four. So Michigan's entering that. I guess I don't know as much about what they're going to look like next season, and I don't know if JJ McCarthy would return or not. But is Ohio State looking like it's going to be better next year? There's no other program outside of those four that can really say that right now, I feel like, though. Those are the only four that I think can kind of claim championship or bust at the moment.
Those were who again, one more time?
Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia, and Bama.
Go ahead, Matt. What were you going to say?
Honestly, it's tough for Michigan to feel that way because they have half of a national championship in the last 60-plus years. If they win it against Washington, they can start having that mentality. I think you're right there. But at the end of the day, there's still two programs on top. And even if Michigan or Washington wins the national title, that's not the standard. Winning it once is not the standard. Alabama was the standard. Then Georgia wins back-to-back. They claim it. Okay, now it's us and Alabama. Well, now Alabama hasn't won it in 3 years, and Georgia could be right back there next year. Michigan's doing everything right, but I do think they're losing a lot of guys. Washington is going to be without Michael Penix Jr. next year, so there are several programs that I think are still going to be right there competing, But I do think might be a significant drop off for teams like Michigan and Washington. And again, I don't think Ohio State's going to be all that great. That defense was very good this year. They're going to be missing a lot of those guys. I think Texas could be pretty good again next year, but they're now the program that still has to get over that hump. Michigan is one win away from getting over that hump. Texas is still not back, apparently. They're almost back, Dean, but they're not back yet.
Now, Michigan should win national championships. Texas certainly should. Florida, Georgia, LSU, Alabama. Should Auburn? Should Clemson? Should Tennessee? Should Oklahoma? I will ask now. Should Oklahoma? I mean, should UCLA? I would say the answer to that is no, even though they've got a lot of advantages. Georgia should win national championships. Texas definitely should. I don't know that it's total failure that they've won one in a long time, 45, 50 years. So
should USC?
When you wake up each morning and you're at Georgia, the way that former SEC assistants or SEC assistants have explained it to me is, if you're at Georgia, you're worried to death about losing your job. Like, if you're the starter, Jamon Dumas-Johnson was a Butkus semifinalist, and I don't think he was run out of town, but he's at Kentucky now. And I don't know if that was by his own choosing or not. And this isn't, we're being honest with our audience. We don't just carve things up in our brain. I don't know why he went to Kentucky, but there was, as Ryan was saying on the way back to the car from the Missouri game, yeah, but CJ Allen sure seems to play a lot. So, there's always that worry at Georgia, and I think at Alabama too, is they'll bring somebody in or they'll develop somebody to beat you out. So that's one concern. I think for Georgia, Ryan, you don't want to get too far away from being in the semifinals. Next season, you don't want some sort of weird thing to happen. You get tripped up in the quarters because you're playing in the Fiesta Bowl against Oregon or something. You want to keep it as clean as possible. Give yourself the best opportunity possible to play in Atlanta or play in New Orleans or something, and get back to the quarters or to the semis where you can just kind of hone in on those things. But it is going to be hard. But the expectation is always going to be to win the national championship, Ryan. At this stage, it has been. Ever since Devonta Smith came down with that ball at the Dome, Georgia's been chasing that, because I don't know if they were really chasing it in 2014 and 15, but they were from that moment on, and even before that, all those years add up.
Yeah, looking into the 12 now there's going to be teams that are perennial first round teams, perennial second round teams that can't get over that hump. Yep. And we really actually just don't know what it's going to look like yet. We don't know which teams are going to struggle during that.
We don't know which coaches are going to be on, man. We don't know who's going to be broadcasting this thing.
These are situations that that none of these schools or coaches have had to deal with when you talk about what it'll look like to play during that stretch during December. And on top of it, like what's been talked about a lot over the last month, you got the transfer portal in the midst of that. You got recruiting in the midst of that. So December is just an absolute cluster now. December and January is just an absolute cluster now for college football. That's going to be one of the challenges moving forward. And you tend to lean towards the teams and the programs that have proven that they can do that and the scale that we've seen already to do that again. If you're Georgia, you just need to win 10 games to have a shot at a championship every year.
Let me ask you something, Ryan. Do you think, you're the youngest of the group, do you think it's healthy to have a championship or bust mentality? You were talking about the locker room after the Orange. And I saw them on the sideline for these games. Those guys were having fun. They were excited after the game. No confetti at the Orange Bowl. What is happening now? You get confetti shot up at the SEC championship game. They didn't have confetti at the Orange Bowl, which is, that's a really big deal bowl game. But
it's kind of the end of a week where we were just kind of like this the whole time with the Orange Bowl. So that's the very end of it. Is it healthy, mentally, on a young person? No,
right,
it's not. To have the concept of you disappointed millions of people unless you did this one thing. No, that's not a very healthy way to go about it. When you look at it,
I mean, like, what's Carson Beck? Let me ask you, man. What's Carson Beck's offseason? I mean, here's this guy who's turned down, a significant contract. He's, is he going tonight? Is he going to bed every night thinking, "Oh man, I lost by 3 in the only game I couldn't lose"? Like, that's not.
No, look, I do know, like on good authority, like some of these players took that Alabama game really hard. I mean,
Well, I have
that
gone
was
good
very,
authority
very
that a
disappointing.
lot of the fans did. I
Exactly.
can assure
Obviously,
you of
but
that.
it wasn't just, next day move on. Like that was something that stung because you know what's at stake. And yeah, dude, I mean, just go on the internet. They're all on the internet. They see
The
all of that.
kids.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think,
listen.
yeah.
I'm gonna throw it to Matt. Just give me a second though. But Dave Chappelle was completely correct and continues to be correct. We're gonna keep it out of the comment sections, guys. There, avert your eyes. We don't read mentions. We're not reading comments. DMs are probably off limits, Matt. I just would stay totally away from what other people think because honestly, as connected as we are, we don't really know what in the world is going on inside that building. I mean, we don't have context for what's going on inside that building.
Yeah, I think it should sting though, because if it doesn't
Yes.
sting,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but yeah, it should hurt you that you went out and lost to Alabama. You put your blood, sweat, and tears into this program for 12 months with this team. If it doesn't hurt, you're in the wrong business. And you have to care and you have to want to work and love winning. And those are the type of kids that Kirby Smart and the staff go out and recruit. They want to bring in kids that care, that love to win and get really hurt when they don't win and will play with a chip on their shoulder. I think Carson Beck's chip on his shoulder next year is going to be gigantic. Same with Kirby's. I mean, they always find something to motivate them. And next year, it's all going to be about, well, we lost the SEC championship to that team over there that, is still in our way a good bit of the time. I think it's only going to make them better. But going back to the other comments, you have to earn the right to say, oh, it's championship or bust. Most programs can't say that. You have to earn that right and be that type of program and play to that standard where, you tell yourself and, the in the locker room, you got the scoreboard and the ticker down to the national championship. Those programs, you have to earn that and you have to own it. And I think Georgia's owning it. And I think they're going to use that to their advantage next year.
Thanks for watching.